Hi, guys. How's it going?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, this is a perfect way to wrap things up. We have been talking a lot about channel marketing, influencer marketing, cause marketing. We went onto the channels a little bit with some Facebook ads, or with some Facebook Messenger campaigns with Recart. But now we can finally go, okay, those are clicked Messenger campaigns are great. How do I actually run Facebook ads? What can I actually do from retargeting, top of funnel, and make sure these things are set up to make us money? I can tell you without a doubt, probably everybody listening has thrown $300, $500 away on Facebook at some point or another. It's like one of the first things you're required to do as an e-commerce store is just like, I spent $300 and got $8 back in sales or something like that, something ridiculous. So I think with the framework I believe you guys are about to present, we'll be able to prevent Facebook getting richer and encourage us making money off of advertising. So with that said, I'll let you two take it away. I'm going to share your screen and I'm popping out of here.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. And thanks everybody out there. From our end, all I can see is this presentation, but I hope there's a couple of you out there that are going to enjoy this. So I'm Chase Clymer. I didn't put my last name on here because I didn't realize it was required. And Ryan is my marketing manager at our agency, Electric Eye. And so today we're going to jump into kind of Facebook Ads 101. So I'm the co-founder at the agency. I'm also host of a podcast, Honest eCommerce. We're Shopify, Facebook, Klaviyo, Google, Pinterest. If you've heard of it, we're probably partners of them in the DTC space. We've been in this game a while, and I'm a current Man Bun owner. That picture has not been updated in quite a while. And also here to help educate everybody is our awesome marketing manager, Ryan. He is a former Man Bun owner, as you can tell by his picture, and he's a part-time dancer and choreographer outside of work. So kind of real quickly, I want to tell you why you should listen to us is we wrote the course on Facebook ads for Shopify. This was actually a paid thing. We wrote an entire course on this, and it took a lot of time, a lot of Ryan's time, and we put it out 6 months ago or so. It's very up to date. And then we decided that we're not a course company. We're an agency at the end of the day. We're very customer focused, very service focused. So we took the price tag off, refunded everyone that bought it, and it is literally free. So all of this information that you're hearing us talk about is available on this course that you can take right now for free. It is a lot more in depth, a lot longer, and we're only going to be touching on the surface here. We're not really getting super in depth here. And this is the call to action. Go take this course. So I'm kind of dropping that now. Sorry if it was a bait and switch. You thought you're going to get everything here. We can't cover everything in 25 minutes. There's just so much stuff in here. We talk about audiences. We talk about the funnel. We talk about budgeting. We talk about setting expectations and the realities of advertising on Facebook. We start literally right at the beginning and go up to some more advanced tactics. There's some supplemental materials that Ryan's provided. And you can always just reach out to us with any questions afterwards. Because honestly, we want everyone to kind of have an understanding to either A, be able to do it themselves, or B, oftentimes it's being able to have the conversation with whomever you're hiring, your consultant, your agency, your contractor, your partner. You need to be able to understand these words and these phrases and kind of how it all works. So everyone, we're going to talk about it kind of high level here, but afterwards, go take this course. It's awesome. So I'm going to dive in here to, is your brand actually ready for Facebook and Instagram ads? And it is so funny because when I jumped into this and I was in the back room, Becca, the previous presenter, was actually talking about like, don't buy likes and don't have a fake kind of setup of everything. So kind of the first thing is, are you ready to kind of start advertising from a content perspective? Like, are your pages set up? Like, people often overlook this when they're reaching out to agencies. They expect them to kind of do everything for them. Most of them won't. And if you don't have kind of the basics in place, you're kind of already kind of off to a rough start. So you kind of need to have just an organic presence out there before you even think about going into paid advertising. If you have 0 pictures posted and you are advertising through your Instagram account, that looks like scam. You know what I mean? You kind of have to think of it that way. So make sure that you guys are set up for success. Make sure you have some organic traction there. You need to look like an actual real company before you start dumping money into paid ads. It might sound weird that I have to point it out, but trust me, I have to.
And on the flip side of that too, is don't go buying followers and buying all of these things, because your customer base is going to read through that very, very quickly. If you have, a page and, you kind of dump all of your content in a couple of days to look like you've been on Instagram or Facebook for a lot longer, and then you go and buy followers and, you've got 30,000 followers and all of your photos get 3 likes and 4 likes, people are going to read through that very quickly.
Absolutely. So I think that the most difficult concept to conjure about just e-commerce in general is the concept of product market fit. And, it's really hard to say you have it, but it's one of those things that you have it when you do, and you don't when you don't. And again, it sounds very just hard to kind of conceptualize, but it's really important. If you don't have product market fit, if random people on the internet without prompting aren't buying your product, you may not be ready for paid ads. That's truly the truth. Like, if a lot of people start e-commerce businesses and expect Facebook and Instagram advertising to make their business successful, without understanding that you can have the best ads in the world, but if your product doesn't solve a need of your customers, it's never going to work. Good advertising cannot sell a bad product. So the first thing is you need to make sure that the consumers actually want to buy what you're trying to sell. And I think that an easy way to understand that is organic traffic converting? Another way to test it is to try it in marketplaces first. If it sells on Amazon or eBay or Etsy, you might be onto something. So definitely you need to have a litmus test of, do I have product market fit? That's the number one thing before you start advertising. The next is, say you do have this product market fit. You're selling, $10,000 a month in sales. You're going to do it yourself, or you hire a partner to help you with Facebook and Instagram advertising. Can you logistically handle twice the amount of sales? That's something that a lot of brands overlook. Once you start to hit scale, how fast can you get new inventory? Can you afford to buy as much inventory as you're about to sell if things are successful? There's a lot of logistical components here, because honestly, the worst thing that would happen is you actually double your sales. Your volume goes through the roof. You're making money hand over fist, but you can't fulfill those orders. And now all of your 5-star reviews are 1-star reviews because I never received my product. So before you start to max out your credit card on a winning Facebook campaign, you need to understand, can you fulfill those orders? So that's the next thing you really need to consider before you start getting into paid advertising. And then the last, and Becca highlighted this earlier as well, and she's super smart, and I'm going to connect with her after this, and I hope all of you do as well. But it comes down to the experience. Just as important as having a product that people actually want to buy is having a website that can actually sell that product. If you're sending a lot of super qualified traffic to a garbage experience, it is never going to convert. There's something to be said about the level of professionalism on the web, and everybody, human nature is to trust things that are more professional online. There's a lot of studies out there about kind of UX and all that jazz. I don't have to get into conversion rate stuff right now, but basically, if your website is lacking, and you can honestly take a look at your own website and you'll know that, you might want to invest there first before investing in paid traffic, because here's what's going to happen. Any new traffic that you send to your website from Facebook and Instagram is going to convert at a lower conversion rate than what you're already getting. It will never increase your conversion rate. So if your conversion rate is bad to begin with, you should focus on that first and then go into paid traffic. Awesome.
And I think to wrap up kind of like what Chase was saying, which is, and Derek kind of hit on this at the beginning by saying, like, probably everybody here has thrown a couple $100s at Facebook and hoped for the best. And I think it's really important to just note that, like, Facebook is an accelerator. It is not the launch pad for your brand. So you should really be finding ways to build and grow without spending money on paid advertisement before you start feeding that money into Facebook and Instagram. And kind of leads me right into the next point, which is don't try to be smarter than Facebook. I know this seems like maybe a silly statement, and we hopped in when Becca was still speaking before, and hit on briefly the terrors of all of these big tech companies having more data about us than we would all like to. You just kind of have to wave that off, but they have a lot of information. There's a lot of things that work effectively, and you cannot try to outsmart what Facebook can do for you. And that means that you have to utilize the entire funnel. So again, referencing what Becca was saying, working with some of those luxury brands that only work at the top of the funnel, it's really easy when you get into Facebook and Instagram advertising to jump in at the middle of the funnel and see a really, really high return, because those are kind of warm leads. They're people who have interacted with you on your Instagram page, on your Facebook page. They've visited your website. Maybe they're email subscribers. There's someone who has maybe already engaged with your brand. Even farther down, if you break down to like from warm to like a hot lead, someone who has abandoned cart. They've gone through the whole experience. It's really, really easy to get onto Facebook and Instagram ads right away and see super high returns in the first 30 days from just hitting people. That's going to start to fall off because you're not funneling people in at the top. You're not spending money to kind of put people through this entire process. So you cannot try to skip a portion of your funnel just because it looks nice and it looks pretty. I've been there. We've all been there. We've all tried it, and it just doesn't work. What you need to be doing is have an entire built out funnel strategy for your Facebook and Instagram ads, where you've got either lookalike audiences inside of Facebook. So you've built out, your customer list, you've got enough website visitors, you've got enough engagement on your social media platforms to be able to build out these lookalike audiences on Facebook. Or maybe you're kind of testing out some new interest, affinity-based audiences at the very top, and you've got it broken down by age and by gender and by all of these different things to funnel people down. So they're seeing your ads, they're engaging. You've got some great campaigns. You're doing some awesome storytelling. We'll talk about content here in a second. And then you're pushing them through this entire funnel. So now they're a warm lead because they've come to the website and they've engaged. And now you're sending them another ad and you're more familiar. And maybe it takes 3, 4, 5 touch points with a customer, but you've got to really hit more people at the top to bring them and kind of narrow that down as you go. So really just your reminder that you need an entire funnel strategy. You cannot outsmart Facebook. And then just want to touch on the probably big news that's been happening on Facebook in the last 3 to 4 months, which is the iOS 14 update. So a lot of people have iPhones. I leave nowhere without mine. It is attached to my hip, as I'm sure that it is for most people. And if you are in Facebook and ads already, you've definitely seen a lot about this. If you're not, this might be some news to you. But iOS 14 made it a little bit more difficult for platforms like Facebook and Instagram to track your data. And I'm not going to go into the science of all of that. But for sake of this conversation, it affects 2 major things, which is conversions and tracking and your audiences. So they're very related. So conversion and tracking is basically to say that you can hit somebody at the top of the funnel, but once they go through, if they have the settings turned on their iPhone or on their iPad, where they don't want you to track their data, your Facebook and Instagram reporting might not show a conversion for that person. So your return on ad spend might be a little wonky, might look a little softer than it was if you were running ads 8-9 months ago. So that's kind of step 1. And then where that also funnels in is, for your middle of the funnel and for your bottom of the funnel people, you're still gonna be able to hit all of those people, those interest audiences, those lookalike audiences. It's not a whole lot's changing about the data that Facebook already has on you. But you might not now have those same people going from the top of the funnel into the middle of the funnel because they're not allowing you to track them. So not a ton of people thus far have really turned on this setting, and arguably not a ton of people actually even know about it quite yet. But it is there, and we just want to kind of call it out. Some of the brands that we work with were kind of having a little bit of stress and anxiety about it as this was kind of coming around. And like, it's thus far, we've not seen a huge decrease in anyone's performance and anyone's return. So try not to stress too much on this iOS 14 update. So next thing to talk about here is just Facebook and Instagram ads are still a visual medium, and there is not a way to hack past that. So if you are not already in a spot with your brand where you are producing high quality photo, high quality video on a regular basis, maybe this isn't also the place for you to get quite yet. Because the thing is that we all have been in a scenario where you have gotten the same ad from the same brand for 6 months in a row. It just keeps coming up. You've visited their website or you've gone to their Instagram page one time and you keep seeing the same ad. And ultimately what that does is, at least for me, I'm annoyed because I'm like, you're keep giving me the same thing over and over again. And that's how people feel about ads. That's how people feel about content. And so you need some of these content mechanisms in place and producing good quality content on a regular basis. So there's really 3 systems that you should be able to get in place. And you don't need to start your Facebook and Instagram ads journey with all 3 of them, but you need to start with at least one of them. So creating your own content, whether that's sourcing it out to, contracted photographers, videographers, whether you're doing that with an agency, whether you're doing that in-house, but you need to be creating your own content. We recommend not just doing the content that is solely on your website. You want some diversity. You want something kind of different and new going around and going out into the ad space, especially if you're going to do specific targeted campaigns around a topic or an idea or a new product launch or whatever that looks like. The next one down is sourcing quality user-generated content. To be honest, this is a much easier feat than it was even 5, 6, 7 years ago, because so many people are actively tagging and trying to be featured by a brand and engaging with brands on their own social media platforms. And as Becca joked, everybody and their mother is a content creator now. So finding user-generated content for your brand, if you hit on those things that Chase already mentioned, where you're organically hitting on sales and you've got a mechanism of generating revenue without needing the ads, you should already have some of this user-generated content coming in. You just have to source it and find it and make it work for what you're doing. And then the next thing down is directing and empowering influencer created content. This is especially useful the further you get into your Facebook and Instagram ads journey, to run in coordination with one another. So having an influencer campaign running at the same time where you're using creative from that same influencer works double the fold on getting sales and driving people to your website, because you've got people hitting in the middle of the funnel that have visited that person's Instagram page, your Instagram page. They're seeing similar content, but not the same content, and it's from someone who they already have some sort of verification with. So, like I said, you need at least one of these before you jump in, and then you can kind of build and grow on them as you go. So, a couple of content do's and don'ts to run through. So, like I mentioned, we do want you using high quality imagery. One thing on Facebook and Instagram ads is make sure you're not using too much text. Facebook has rules about how much text you can and cannot use on your ads. This includes videos. So again, don't try to outsmart Facebook. Next thing, do use a mix of image and video with different content styles. So the biggest thing here is you don't want to use only product flat lay imagery, and you don't want to necessarily use only lifestyle imagery. your different people in your audience might respond to different things. If you've done some A/B testing already and you've figured out that they really respond well to product fatlays, or they really respond well to lifestyle imagery, or really emotive and emotional video content, then great. But you should trial and you should A/B test all of those things out. And the next thing is, don't use the same aspect ratio for all of your placements. So when you're setting up your Facebook and Instagram ads, they can go on story, they can go on feed, they can go on Instagram, they can go on Facebook. All of those spaces have a different aspect ratio, and things serve best when they are built specifically for the platform that you're serving them on. Do update your creative regularly, as I already touched on. You want these content creation mechanisms in place, and we see the best results in updating your creative every 3 to 5 weeks, when your frequency of ad delivery starts to hit closer to like a 4, even before that, but every 3 to 5 weeks. And then don't forget how the images are there in the first place. So I use this imagery to say, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be looking at in this photo. So remember that you are advertising your brand and your product, and it needs to be clear in the video, in the image, what it is you're advertising, that you are advertising. So whether that's a specific call to action or highlighting, just make sure that your product and your brand is really in the forefront.
Awesome. Yeah. And I just kind of want to touch on something with all those content examples. There's a bunch more of that in the supplemental materials in the course that anyone can go take for free right now. And kind of just to round things out here, Facebook and Instagram advertising is just one piece of the puzzle, right? So let's roll back from there. What's the goal of advertising is to increase basically your sessions to your website, right? And we believe over at Electric Eye that there are 3 main KPIs you should focus on. One being sessions, obviously, but the other 2 might be a little more important, especially as you start this journey of increasing your sessions. And that would be your conversion rate, and that would be your average order value. And if your conversion rate is in a bad spot, any dollar you spend is going to convert terribly. You need to make sure your conversion rate is in a healthy spot to actually convert these new visitors into paying customers. And then just now with Facebook has reached maturity, and as far as cost per acquisition goes, good luck acquiring a new customer for under $10 is literally what I'm going to say. And if your average order value is $20, I know your margins aren't 50% and you are now losing money. So average order value is a very, very important KPI to focus on as you get into scaling through paid acquisition. So if you don't have, these upsells or cross-sell motivators built into your e-commerce experience, and what I mean by that, if you're not offering bundles or, quantity breaks on larger products, or, trying to upsell people into a bundle of 3 t-shirts as opposed to 1, or after purchase, trying to give them that really true special offer on a BOGO deal or something like that. All of that really takes strategy, and it needs to be built in to your experience, honestly, by professionals. A lot of apps out there don't do it as well as having it custom coded, which is why you might want to find a partner team to help you do that. But you should, most of the time we recommend to most clients, like, you should work on your experience first, then go into kind of investing money into paid ads. So that's just kind of a more general strategic overview of how e-commerce numbers work. But yeah, so just kind of to leave you with here, we've got a few minutes, I think, before Derek will pop back in and yell at us. Make sure you go take the course. It's literally free. It covers this and so much more. We hardly scratched the surface here. So truly, it's just honestecommerce.co/course. And I know I saw a question in the chat that I'm actually going to kind of answer here. So Raul asked, if I'm starting a new brand, how do I approach Facebook and Instagram advertising? My answer would be with influencers. If you're starting a new brand and your goal is to only use Facebook and Instagram advertising, I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think if you're starting a new brand, you should find a bunch of influencers that will help you launch, that are with their audience are the same as the customers of your product. And I would launch it with those influencers, and then I would use that content on my paid ads and remarket the people that came in through the help of those influencers. That is a strategy that I tell almost everybody that is starting a brand and reaching out to us. And honestly, Ryan could talk more on this, but when paid advertising is working in tandem with influencers campaigns, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I would say too, I wouldn't recommend this over what Chase said, but there is my personal viewpoint whenever we talk about Facebook and Instagram ads is, unless you're spending money on conversions, on specifically getting sales from your Facebook and Instagram ads, it's not necessarily a super worthwhile thing. A lot of people have things set up for clicks and for impressions. And I guess if you're spending money, to me, from my viewpoint, that money should be turning people into customers. That money should be making you more money. The only exception I'll say, and where we've seen some success previously, is using Facebook and Instagram to build and grow your email audience and your own marketing audience. And you can do that like with email. You could also do it with SMS. So utilizing the Facebook and Instagram ads as a way to build another portion of your owned media, or owned marketing audience, is a way to do it. But again, it's costly, and those leads aren't necessarily always going to be the most qualified leads.
Yeah, I can't believe I glossed over like bringing up email marketing. Honestly, if you're doing paid ads and you don't have email marketing in place, you're not capturing those emails, and you don't have a welcome series, you're lighting money on fire. Like, that needs to happen before you do any of this stuff. And
I think that's really an overarching idea of like, it's all paid media is just a piece of the puzzle. So Chase did talk about the conversion rate and did talk about your average order value. And that is a component as well, but it's also us, going back to the idea of, if you get into Facebook and Instagram ads, it's not an opportunity for you to stop doing organic posting on your social media platforms. It's not an opportunity for you to stop doing owned marketing and sending out email campaigns to people and sending out SMS campaigns to people. All of those things work best when they're working together. Marketing is not a completely siloed industry. It is, everything works when it's in symphony with each other.
Absolutely. So here's the call to actions, everybody. If you enjoy listening to what I have to say, I interview a bunch of store owners on our podcast, Honest eCommerce. Obviously, you can also go take the course literally for free, and everything's there. It's the basis of how we run paid advertising at our agency. And you can check out the course at honestecommerce.co/course. And if you're looking for more of a done-for-you solution, obviously you can reach out to us over at electriceye.io. My email is chase@electriceye.io. Ryan's is ryan@electriceye.io. And if you know anyone else that works at our agency, you can probably guess their email.
I love it. Send us on a guessing game. But no, that was awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And I think very well deserved the precautionary tale of Facebook ads, which is, like I said, how we all need to really get into it is that way. And I have also seen, by the way, the influencer plus paid ad really significantly lower CPA, and you can target the followers of those accounts or related accounts. So that person posts on Instagram and you can see CPA before they post, CPA after they post. It's like, whoo, and you're like, oh, nice. So it's just one of those things where influencer marketing, don't look at it from direct sales only. It is actually like, and it has an attributed revenue to it that might not be tracked to that person's up swipes or something like that. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right. I have one final question for you guys before I let you go, because we saw it in Ricard's campaign. I think I even mentioned it briefly. Click the Messenger ads. Favorite thing in the world, or never uses it, or somewhere in between?
Great question. Have used it. Not my favorite thing in the world. I think it really depends on, I guess, like the product and kind of the brand that you've built up. A lot of the brands that we have and are currently working with, it's not something that their audience responds really incredibly well to. So I think it's always something in my mind, if you have the budget and you've seen success in kind of standard Facebook and quote unquote standard Facebook and Instagram ads, and you've got the budget to test some of those things, I think it's great because it's getting in front of people in a different way. It's similar like when I talk to clients about Google ads and the idea of taking up more real estate when you're on a Google search page. It's the same kind of idea of taking up more real estate of someone's time inside of that channel. But it's a kind of tough wire act on, are you now like, does someone feel like you're harassing them via Facebook ads? So personally, I don't love them and see success from a lot of other places. And I don't want to like give a super hot take and have everybody in my email inbox later being like, that was a bad take, but that's just kind of my personal experience.
No, I think it's totally fine. Okay, fine. I have more questions now all of a sudden. What about, I don't even know if we can actually do this. I'm an old advertiser. I haven't actually been on the platform in a few years. Can we run ads to our Instagram shop and sell on channel without even bringing somebody back to our website? And is that a good idea or a bad idea?
So yes, but that is very complicated because that Instagram shop feature itself, like the steps to go through to get your Instagram shop feature to be able to have an Instagram checkout experience are not as simple as you would like to think that they are. Okay. And the approval process of going through all of that is not the most straightforward thing and can be frustrating. Could you do that? Absolutely. I think it's a great idea for everybody to be able to tag products on their Instagram pages. If you are a brand and you are selling a physical product and you are running an Instagram page, you should absolutely be tagging those products because at bare minimum, there's a higher opportunity for sending someone back to the website. But I think, that Instagram shop setup is difficult. The other part is, people are still going through a verification process on where they're comfortable putting in a credit card and where they're not comfortable putting in a credit card, right? And so people still feel like a mobile optimized website is better than maybe making a purchase direct inside of the Instagram application as a way of kind of guarding their data, whether they know that Instagram or Facebook already has that information or not.
Yeah, Facebook has an incentive to change that consumer mindset, and they're big enough to possibly, incite that change. So I think there's something said to keep an eye on the change in consumer behavior, and possibly, we discussed it earlier because Facebook and Shopify were at this event, and it was like, is Facebook going to steal market share from you, Shopify? And they're like, we're not too worried about it. And I agree, there'll still always be an on-site experience.
I think it's going to come down to what all of these battles are coming down to with the tech. It's going to come down to data. I don't know if they're going to necessarily share the data back to Shopify. So now is that Instagram's customer and not your customer since it was sold on platform? Yeah,
oh man, like Amazon, that's a problem for sure. Well, all right, this has been awesome, guys. When would me as a brand, a D2C brand, want to work with you? When should people reach out to do business with you?
Yeah, so we're a small team. We work with about a dozen clients at a time, and most of our clients are out of that product market fit phase. And they're approaching or they've surpassed kind of that big milestone of $1 million a year in net revenue. That's the thing everyone's going for. We're best with helping people as they're kind of getting into the scaling phase, setting up all these systems for success, and truly just pouring gas on the fire.
Gotcha. Perfect. I'm putting that on the banner right now. Now.
Love that.
Awesome. Thank you guys both so much for your time. We're going to also make sure that people get a follow up with information about the course. So we'll get that to everybody here because we have a lot more people that'll be watching this on demand. And we look forward to talking again and doing this another time because we'll do 201 next time. We'll keep going up and up the funnel and making sure that people know the different points of starting ads, scaling ads, and continuing to improve their campaigns.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Derek.
Perfect.
Thanks, Derek.
I'm going to let you guys go right now. And with that, we are done with day one of the event. I really do want you to come back tomorrow for day two. We will be having another jam-packed day, very similar back-to-back sessions, but while everything here is focused on channel marketing, everything tomorrow is really going to be focused with the site and what happens after you've got them maybe off of the channel and onto the website. So we're going to be diving into conversion rate optimization. We're going to be talking about design, user experience, and on-site tools, quiz builders, and things like that. I encourage you to join us. We're even having a special cameo in the morning. If you see this today, I'm not telling you who it is, but we'll be introducing you to an interesting person in the e-commerce space. And so it'll be a good time. I'm Derek Haney, your host today. It's been a blast. You should have the show notes and all that stuff in the comments section, which is somewhere down below me, just as a reminder. And with that said, I will see